Let's talk about Chris Jericho. He's been making some news recently. There's lots of rumor and innuendo that he might actually be returning to WWE. It's been covered in a lot of different news outlets. And anytime there's some sort of major outlet that posts, I don't know, a hypothetical that he might be headed to WWE, fans are picking up that Jericho is actually liking those posts. Now, somebody in WWE is clearly having fun with this because the WWE Vault channel on YouTube has started to upload some of Chris Jericho's classic matches. I think this is great. This does make me think about, the Monday Night Wars era where people could go back and forth, because as far as I know, his contract is not up. So it's not like Jericho can have any sort of official negotiation right now, but he's keeping his name out there. And I know you have been tight with Chris for a long, long time. What do you make of all this? Do you think he's going to hang around AEW? Is this a big part of a big story, or is he perhaps going back to WWE? What do you think?
We're going to camp out on this one for a minute. Here's why I find it interesting. Well, there's a couple of reasons. One being, Chris has a unique ability to completely reinvent himself. Chris has been off TV for quite a while, right? I haven't seen or heard of him being on camera. Chris was looking a little pudgy the last time I saw him on camera. Pudgy won't fly in WWE. Not like that. Chris has so much pride and competition in him. He's a competitive person. My theory for weeks, I haven't brought it up to you necessarily because there's no reason to, but for weeks, maybe longer, I'm thinking to myself, I know what Chris is going to do. He's off TV because he's going to come back looking shredded.
Yes.
Now, I didn't think about him getting shredded and going to WWE because I wasn't paying attention to when his contract is up. No, I'm still feeling the same way. There's a reason he's off TV. There's a very good reason. So now you throw the WWE possibility, and here's the part where I'm entertained. If I'm Chris and I'm getting shredded and Tony's excited about getting me back and my contract's coming up in 4 or 5 months, I'm going to make sure that contract is as fat as I can make it. So what better way than to create a market for yourself, or a potential market for yourself, with a couple little comments or liking a tweet? All that does is stir the pot on the internet. Tony lives on the internet.
Drives the value up.
That's his heroin. He loves the internet. He judges, he makes decisions based on the internet. And Chris is smart enough to come on. You know it's true. And Chris knows it's true. So if I'm Chris, I go, come on, Daddy, because somebody's going to pay me. I love it.
Do you think that Chris sees what's happening with like this John Cena farewell tour? Not that he would compare his career in WWE to John Cena's. Obviously, he had a much different career, but do you think he sees that and thinks, even if I don't have a Cena farewell, I want a WWE version of a Jericho farewell? Or do you think he would rather end his career in AEW? If you just had to guess.
I feel strongly, and look, I'm not close to, I mean, we're friends, but we don't chat. We don't, if we see each other in a restaurant, we'll probably sit down and have a meal or something like that and have a great conversation, but it's not like we stay in touch. I hope he goes to WWE. I hope he ends his career in WWE. And this is not any intended disrespect to AEW, but AEW is what it is. The audience is what it is, or isn't what it isn't. If any performer is going to go out, why would you not want to go out on the biggest stage of them all? Who wants to win a trophy in AAA ball when you could win a World Series ring? And that's really the difference between the two companies. One is AAA ball, one is the New York Yankees. Why would you want to end your career in AAA ball?
Well, I appreciate that you say that, but we know that, man, they did a fine job with Sting's farewell. And I know it's a different WWE, but you take a look at the way WWE let Kurt Angle end his career, and then you take a look at the way Sting was celebrated to end his career in AEW, and there's no comparison. And Kurt Angle really was more of a WWE guy than Sting was an AEW guy based on tenure, I think. But I could be wrong on that. But it is going to be interesting to see what happens with Jericho. I mean, when you were thinking about this sort of John Cena farewell tour, who in your history in the business do you think deserved a farewell tour but never really got one? And I know everybody wishes they could have.
I mean, it deserved. What is, how do you qualify deserved? Again, subjective, right? I mean, anybody that's been at the top of any company for a period of years. I mean, but you also think about a guy like Steve Austin. He couldn't do a farewell tour. He couldn't have held up. In a completely different, kind of fantasy land example, it would have been great if Bret Hart would have been able to, because Bret Hart's the kind of guy that fans would have really wanted to be a part of that experience. And it would have been great if Bret Hart could have gone out, on a farewell tour. I think it would have been really, really successful as well. But circumstances are circumstances. It's hard for me to wrap my head around deserved. It's like, who could be successful with a farewell tour?
Right.
That's really what it comes down to.
Do you think that, when we think about Chris Jericho post wrestling, we were just talking about Jake Hager post wrestling, and I don't think this is true, but I even had some conspiracy theorists texting me, "Hey, do you think Jericho has put Jake Hager up to dumping on Tony Khan?" And I'm like, "No, that's the dumbest thing I've ever heard. No, of course not." But what do you think Jericho does? That's like in the bubble talk a little bit, maybe. Do you think Jericho, because we know he's a rock star, like he's touring with his band Fozzy. He likes to make movies. I mean, he's got plenty of other business opportunities. Do you think he'll ever pursue any sort of like front office or management position in wrestling post wrestling? Because we heard even in the Jake Hager interview that he was at the front sort of addressing the group. And we've heard from a lot of guys that he's like a locker room leader and helping other guys and trying to make other guys. And do you think he has any interest in, I don't know, being quote unquote office in the wrestling business?
He may. I've never gotten that impression that was something that he'd be interested in. But that was when, Chris was very young in his career. He was early in his career when I was working with him, right? So he wouldn't have had those aspirations. When I worked in WWE as talent and Chris was there, he spent a lot of time with Brian Gewirtz, the head writer. And he seemed to enjoy the creative process a lot, not just because he wanted to make sure he got his stuff in, right? Or his story, whatever it was. But, I used to watch him and Brian work together, and it was fun for Chris. So that suggests to me that he has a strong interest in the creative part of the business. And if he's got an interest in the creative part, he's obviously, forgotten more about in-ring action than most people will ever learn. He would be great as a producer. Do I know if that's something that he'd want to do at this stage of his life? Because that can be a grind. It's a little bit of a thankless job. It's work, hard work, all day hard work. It's not showing up at the building, working out your match, and then going back to your dressing room and hanging out with friends. It's, be at the building at 11 a.m. or 12. And by the way, you're there standing in gorilla till 11 o'clock at night. And when things go great in the match, you get a pat on the back. And when things go wrong, whether it's your fault or not, you're going to get shredded. And it's your responsibility. So it's not the greatest job in the world. If you're in your 30s and 40s and all that, sure, give it a whirl for a couple of years. Make some big money, have some fun, stay in the business. But at Chris's stage of life, given that he likes to perform, he likes to travel clearly, he does it enough. He is a creative guy. He does like music. I don't see him taking a producer role, if I had to bet. but I could also be very wrong. It really comes down to what does Chris Jericho's second half going to look like? What does he want it to look like? Because he gets to pick and choose.
SaveWithConrad.com.
My name's Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California. I came to Save with Conrad because I've heard Conrad talk about how he helps people all the time save money and the best route to go for getting some mortgages and finances done. And having heard so many different testimonials in the past, it made the most sense to go this route. We were in the market for a new house and we wanted to know what we could afford. So we spoke with Steve and then Diane to get through the pre-approval process to see what we could afford. And then once we were able to understand that aspect of it, that was when we were able to shop around for a house to get a mortgage through Save with Conrad. Everybody on the team was great. Everybody really explained everything fully to where it was more in like layman's terms to where I could understand it as someone not in the business or having shopped around for houses too many times. So being able to understand every step of the process and talking with everyone on the team about that was really, really helpful. And it made me feel really confident that I was going the right route. I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. I know that sometimes people look at it and they go, oh, they're based in Alabama. What could they help me with? But I'm out here in California and they were able to square everything away and get things done really quickly, as opposed to sometimes even people out here don't move as quickly as the Save with Conrad team. So everything was really well done, really efficient, and I would definitely recommend Save with Conrad to others. My name is Rajiv. I'm in Sacramento, California, and I was able to get into my dream home with SaveWithConrad.com.
That's number 212 non-equal housing lender. SaveWithConrad.com.